As artificial intelligence continues to evolve, so does its impact on us. From chatbots and voice assistants to autonomous vehicles, it is working its way into our lives more and more. So, down the road, how will society adapt to all things AI? Joining me now to discuss is CEO of Rebrand Cities and founder of Prompt Camp, Hajj Flemings. Thanks so much for joining us, as always, Hajj.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
And you've had an exciting few weeks. You just got back from a conference. You were telling us about this one of the last times you were here. Microsoft Build. Tell us all about it.
So it's a 2.5-day conference. It's a developer conference, and thousands of people converge on the Seattle Convention Center. Some of the smartest people on the planet. And so we talked about all things AI and the future of work. And it kind of took me back to a place when Microsoft was cool. I remember graduating and using Windows 95, a Dell computer, and having a BlackBerry.
Right.
So now the CEO, Satya Nadella, has pushed all their chips to the center of the table and bet the entire house on AI.
Now,
and
why? Why is that?
Because I think in those positions, you have to be able to see around the corner. You have to be able to see where the puck is going to be and not where the puck is at.
Yeah.
And so I felt like for them to kind of reinsert themselves into this big conversation of where tech is moving, that they had to do something different. So you have a handful of tech companies that are like at this epicenter. Like you have Google, you have Apple, and you have Microsoft.
Right.
And Microsoft, to me, is at the center of the creative universe at this moment.
Yes. Now, is it sort of a space race when it comes to AI? You have these major players you just mentioned, but then you also have the OpenAI, the chat GPTs of the world kind of coming out of left field. Is that what this is? Is everyone just racing to be chief of this new technology?
So I think that it's such an open space that, that people are trying to figure out where they're going to kind of, I guess, like plant their flag.
Yeah.
And if you're a major company, what happens is that there is an ecosystem. And companies and people make decisions on what operating system they're going to use, what hardware they're going to use. And so all depending on who has first mover advantage, kind of position like these companies to say, well, you know what, I've already bought all this. So if you look at Apple, they're more hardware driven. If you look at like Microsoft, it's a mix. So they have hardware and they have software. And so they're moving in the AI direction. And so I think it's playing the flag because somebody's going to be the first mover. When you think of generative AI, you think of ChatGPT before you do BART.
Right.
Which is Google.
It's kind of the household name, the only one we have at this point.
Yes.
So these companies, are they finding ways to insert that technology into what they're already doing, or are they trying to build up BART so it's a competitor of ChatGPT?
So I'll use Microsoft as an example. So in Windows 11, they have integrated something called Copilot. So essentially, it's like having an assistant. So if you're going into Outlook and you need to write an email, it's going to help you write the email.
Yeah.
If you need to write a document, it can pull stuff in from ChatGPT. If you're pulling together a presentation, it'll help you to generate images from DALL-E. And so you can put together presentations. So imagine now work is like you have an assistant even though you don't have a physical assistant.
And we've started to see some of this, right? Like the predictive text. It knows what you're about to say or suggests something, and you can kind of swipe or highlight. Is that what it is, or is this more advanced?
So it's that, but now, so software moving forward without AI is going to feel broken.
Okay.
It's going to feel like there's something missing. So any software company moving forward or any company developing software, that's going to be a major feature in anything that you do. And so it's going to change the expectation of how we do work and how work gets done and the tools that we use.
Yeah. Now, of course, everyone there, yourself included, is going to be really excited about the possibilities with AI. We've also heard some concerns, even from people deep within the AI community. Did you hear anything like that at the conference? Was anyone really talking about the way things could go sideways going forward?
So I feel like, like I call myself a nerd, right? And so you have all of us who are kind of bullish on this stuff there, and so we're all excited about it. But there are like real concerns. Like, like I'd be naive if I wasn't stating that there are concerns. So people are thinking about the privacy part, thinking about the transparency part, thinking about those elements. But I think it's also a gold rush at the same time. And so people are trying to figure out, how do I plant my flag? How do I make money on this? And so I think it's a race for that if you are a small business or if you're a huge tech company. And you figure that the regulation will kind of take care of itself somehow.
Yeah. Well, we're expecting to potentially see some regulation, maybe even in the next year. When you were at the conference, what was the thing that was so exciting to you that you just had to bring back to Michigan, that you were so excited to tell your colleagues and everyone about here?
So one thing is that we had a chance to be on a big stage.
Okay.
And so we're doing a project called Rap versus AI, which is taking culture and connecting it to AI. And that was presented by the VP of Artificial Intelligence and Design. So that was an amazing opportunity to be able to at least take that back, looking at the people that we were working with inside the city. So that was a major piece. And so the other part was just looking at now how they're integrating Bing search into ChatGPT. So when I was on here last time, if you did a query or you did a prompt, it was pulling information from 2021 and before.
Right.
So now it's actually pulling from the live internet in real time, and you can pull.
Bard is specifically, or are you talking?
So also ChatGPT is pulling
Really?
from Bing search, right? And so now you can get real-time information from the web, right?
Okay.
If you use GPT-4, which is it's like an aspect of it.
Yeah.
Right. And so that, and then the integration of apps. So say for instance, you could add in Instacart. You could do a search and say, hey, look, I want to, I find a recipe, I need these ingredients. I can now go in to Instacart, create a shopping list from the list that you had in ChatGPT, and then send that list and then have somebody drop the food off.
Wow. So everything's hyper connected.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's making, so I don't know if it's making us lazier or if it's making life better, but it is interesting how all of these things are really starting to converge. And the interesting part I find is that we now have a small group of companies that are going to control or have a lot to say about what life looks like moving forward.
In what way? Explain that.
So in terms of how we do work, but also even interacting with what does the work week look like? How we interact with other human beings, how we interact with people. So if we look at the Apple Vision Pro, right?
Yes.
Like those goggles, right? So now they're talking about sitting in a room, watching. So imagine that you're sitting in a room and you're with your husband and y'all two are watching a movie with goggles on. How does that feel?
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's going to feel.
It seems like a foreign concept right now. It seems odd. But does it seem that's the way things are moving?
So I found that, that when I first got my iPhone, there were certain things that I thought that were kind of quirky about it, but now I've kind of gotten used to it.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting with all these new technologies just to figure out how we're going to interact with it. How does it change consumer behavior?
Right.
How do we interact differently? I have a 12-year-old daughter, and I see kids all the time sitting in groups laughing and nobody's talking to each other.
Everyone's looking down, looking at the phone.
Everybody's looking down, and so now, how is that going to change things?
Right. There was a time when that would have been strange. Not too long ago when it was strange to see everyone. You go to a restaurant, people aren't talking, they're on their phone, but that's very normal now.
Yes. And so I think it's going to change a lot of things. It's going to normalize some different habits, and it'll be interesting to see the things that people really grab hold on.
My question about the wearable technology is, do we need it? What am I seeing in these goggles that I need to see at all times? I assume things on my phone currently, but what is it that we need in our field of vision at all times?
So it's basically going to be a computer. It's $3,500. But the interesting part, I also think, is that we create, or if you think about luxury is a thing that is, there are certain things that everybody doesn't have access to, right? And so are they creating an experience that people want to be a part of? Are they creating something that prices certain people out? That creates an experience that, if you have money, you can go to the moon with, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
you know, say,
We've
sort of,
seen that.
Yes, you know, so there's all these different things that are going to take place. So at this moment, I have to reimagine because that's mixed reality. So they're trying to blend physical and digital together.
Yeah.
And we really haven't seen that because like the regular goggles, you know, and again, I have these at home, you can't see anybody.
Right.
And, you know,
And that's like VR, the video game.
Yes.
Some people would have more experience with. That's
Yeah.
completely,
yes.
it blocks out your surroundings.
Yes, yes. And so this is mixed reality, so it's supposed to integrate that in. So
Right.
what is that totally going to look like? I don't know. Are there going to be some interesting experiences? Yes, there might be certain things that you want to do by yourself.
Yeah.
But if you're in a group, and I guess you can see people, so
I guess less falling on the ground, running into people when you're playing games. That happens quite a bit with those VR goggles.
But it is interesting because I think these companies are deciding where they're going to plant their flag. So AI, I look at Microsoft, Google, spatial computing, which is the goggles, is going to be Apple. They're going to kind of be the lead in that. And so it'll
Okay.
be interesting just to see where everything kind of goes.
Yeah.
So
Exciting time to be alive.
yes, it is. It is. It
That's
is.
for
It
sure.
is. It is.
Well, thank you so much for being our resident AI expert. We're glad you went to that conference and brought us back some of your insight.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely. This is Hajj Flemings from Rebrand Cities and Prompt Camp. Thanks so much.